Hey everybody, Ron Burke, editor-in-chief for GamingTrend.com. I am joined by my lead editor, David Burdett, and my senior editor, Adam Moreno, who I definitely remember all their names. And this is not the third take.
Not the third take.
It's been a long day, people.
We're here at Summer Games Fest. This is day 2, or at least day 2 of Summer Games Fest. It's day 4 for us, right?
Day 4.
Yeah,
something like that.
Adam, you wanted to take the lead on this and run us through what we saw today?
So I think that we've been able to give out some best of Summer Game Fest awards.
Yep.
That might be a great place to start with recapping some of our favorite moments from the past 2 days. We had a really busy first day, so we didn't get a chance to sit down and really have this conversation because we were trying to put out all of the information that we had.
Yes.
So I think we're at a point where I've given out 4, David's given out 4, and you've given out 3 now.
Yep.
So that I think that's a good amount. It spans a lot of different genres. So Ron, why don't you start with one of the games that you gave an award to? Say what you can.
Sure.
Obviously, we're going to have embargoes for some of these. Some things have already been lifted. So say what you can.
Yeah, so I checked out Crimson Desert. It was our first opportunity to see, well, I can just say this, and I'm the only one who gets to say this. I am the very first person in the world outside of the company to play Crimson Desert and play this demo. So I got to play Crimson Desert for about an hour with very little guidance. They put us about 2 hours into the game and kind of turned us loose. So everything up to this point has been well, okay, you watch the trailers and you have no idea what the game is about because it's like there's so many systems and it's so confusing and like what is this game? It just looks like it's everything. And well, it kind of is. So this is our first opportunity to see wide scale combat. It was our first chance to see really how the combat works, how it plays on a controller. Some people are going to play it mouse and keyboard, obviously, but it's built for a controller as well. And it was our first chance to see siege combat. So hundreds of people on the screen, and learned a lot about the engine. It turns out it is not the Black Desert engine. That's a completely new engine built specifically for this. And I don't know who else is going to have this information, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but just the same, I'm going to say it. It was running pure raw power, no upsampling, no DLSS, no FSR, just literally 4K 60 running purely on the engine, completely unoptimized. Obviously, optimization happened in the last 6 months before launch, so they're just now starting optimization, and it didn't matter. The thing ran like it was just on fire, and it wasn't on like a 5090. It was on a mid-tier machine, so it's pretty impressive. Got to see a lot of really cool stuff with their physics engine. Turns out the reason this game has taken so long is an incredible amount of motion capture.
Nice.
So a good example would be picking up a wagon wheel that had fallen off a wagon and picking it up like this. Then he turned his hands and then pushed it on and then shouldered it in place, and it's all physics based.
Nice.
So
Wow.
the contact with his shoulder, the contact with his hands, and everything else, that part was motion captured, but where it was applied was done with the physics engine.
Nice.
And you saw that again with water flow. So instead of an artist having to go and hand create this river, they basically gave the water characteristics and they gave the rocks characteristics and put the two together and said, interact. And then tuned it until it actually looked like water flowing around rocks and stuff like that. So they could move the terrain while they were adjusting, how they wanted the flow of the level to be. And they didn't have to go reprogram anything like redraw or anything like that. They could simply just move the thing and let the physics handle it.
Nice.
And that was kind of pervasive throughout the entire demo. Just the amount of physics interactions, the way like your horse moves, and then when you change direction, there's a momentum to it, and it doesn't feel like that artificial momentum where somebody had to painstakingly draw it and say there's this much velocity. It felt more like the way a horse actually turns, where there's some movement and then it takes off again. It's hard to describe. You kind of have to play it for yourself. But I got to see a lot of really great scenarios that we've not seen before. So, for example, a whole siege portion was you're kind of like there's like thousands of people in this siege,
Sure.
and you're sort of the hero. So when you show up, you're not going to come in and you're not going to fight the onesie twosie people, or they don't expect you to. You can, but that's not really where you're going to make the most impact. You're supposed to go take out the generals, go take out the siege artillery. So you get your kind of tutorial-ish type stuff, like go take out this cannon, and you only have to take out one to move the story forward.
Yeah.
So it kind of teaches you how it works, but go take out this one cannon. You can, if you want, kind of change the face of the battle if you go take out all of them, but it's not required. And as you do so, you'll kind of see the army shift and move. There's always a ton of action going on around you. It's almost like a Moose Out type game where there's just so many people on the screen. And again, no frame rate issues whatsoever.
Yes.
And then siege towers, I got to use a cannon to attack a siege tower, and hitting it at the base caused the base to fall apart and had the top part kind of crumble underneath in pieces. Hitting it from the top caused it to kind of like smokestack its way down and come apart. And hitting it dead center kind of blew it out the back, and then it kind of collapsed. So all that stuff again is physics based. It's no wonder this game took this long.
Yeah.
Every single piece of this game that I saw was that way. Just care and attention to detail. Every system. The reason it's taking me so long to answer your question is because there's this much going on. There's systems on top of systems.
Yeah.
The combat is definitely easy to start and impossible to master. Grab me that controller for a second. I'll kind of demonstrate. So it might be start off your attack with a button press like the Y button to kick, and then it's then transition to these buttons, then hit these two, then this two, and then finish with these two.
Yeah.
So getting down that level of complexity is going to take time.
Yeah.
But when you pull it off, it's amazing. You're like, kick the guy, then before he gets away, grab his legs, slam him to the ground, then use magic to dig him up, then you pop up twice with magic and then pound him to the ground. It's just cinematic as all get out. So I think this is one of those things where you're going to see the basics in the beginning as people get used to the game, and then you'll see those crazy YouTube videos where it's almost like a Marvel vs. Capcom juggling session where people are just like, he's dead, you can stop already.
Yeah. Do you think you got him?
Right, exactly. So it was very easy to hand them an award because they definitely earned it. This is one that I think is going to surprise a lot of people, and it certainly did surprise me. It was my very first appointment of the day for the entire show, and wow, what a way to start.
What a way, yeah. Well, you talked about it for a solid 8 minutes. So I think it's very clear that
I'm a little excited about it.
Yeah, you're just a little excited about it. We're gonna try to keep it about 5 minutes per game moving forward. But I think with something as big as that, it probably deserved an extra 3 minutes. David, I think we're gonna snake draft this. So we're gonna go back and forth, and then I'll do 2 back to back.
Sounds good. So I'm gonna go to my first appointment for something we actually have a preview out on the site already. You can go and read it. Dying Light: The Beast.
There you go.
The interesting thing about Dying Light: The Beast is this was originally supposed to be a DLC. This was not supposed to be a full game. It kind of grew into it, but a lot of the reason it became a full game is because the game files actually leaked through Dying Light 2.
No.
And pretty spoiled the entire story of the DLC.
That's disappointing.
So they had to go back to the lab. They had to rework it. I mean, they said when they came into the office, like their faces were pale.
Yeah.
Like they just, this is their hard work.
Time, yeah.
But instead, to a degree, Dying Light: The Beast is more or less Dying Light 3.
Great.
Like it's being pitched as still a standalone expansion. But I mean, we're talking. I've heard anywhere from 20 to 40 hours for
crazy for an expansion.
Expansion, significant. Which, admittedly, Dying Light 2, they pitched the whole 500 hours of gameplay when it first came out. So 20 to 40 hours is kind of an expansion for that game.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the greatest thing about all of this, as soon as I played it, I'm like, okay, this is more Dying Light 2. Except with all the improvements that Dying Light 2 has made over the course of its life, which not every game gets the attention to detail that Techland has given to Dying Light 2. It's almost, you could almost say this game is a live service game
Yeah.
with the way they have treated it. Last year we got a full on firearms update. This game has been a melee based game for the majority of its life. They added guns and somehow made it balanced.
Hey.
But
And
that's
that is,
Techland, right? I mean,
yeah,
they supported the first game forever,
yeah,
so that's kind of their thing is they support it through the life of their product.
exactly. And but the fact that they've reworked it to work in these firearms, that has carried over into this game, which I'm really impressed with the balance. That's one of the things I like to look at is how when you're doing something like that, you can upset the balance of the game, and they seem to have a good feel for it. But the first in class parkour system is still there, running around, climbing up things. That was there. It seems like on buildings, they've actually made sure that like window ledges, different out jutting, there's more of that so that you aren't just going to be falling down if something looks climbable, but you can't. Like, there's a couple things in the world where it's like, oh, you
Sure.
can't climb a chain link fence,
Sure.
just makes sense. But for the most part, a lot of these out juts, you can actually climb them, which is a kind of, I hate to say a fixing, but it's something they're improving from the second game. One of my favorite things was when I was going around wrecking a couple of zombies. I saw a new little prompt and it was camouflage, and I was like, huh.
Yeah.
And I hit the button and immediately started applying zombie blood to myself.
Cool.
And it gives you this little like
Very
cooldown.
Dead.
It gives you this little cooldown where you can essentially walk around without zombies messing with you.
Nice.
And it's just a nice little thing of, if you do it fast enough, you can kind of get through a couple areas you maybe should, maybe shouldn't. Kyle Crane running around as him, really good. Love hearing Roger Craig Smith back doing the voice of the character that he didn't think he was ever going to be doing again. But having these moments where you're taking on these zombies, you're doing all that, and then ending up in an enemy compound with actual human enemies that have actual weapons,
Yeah.
and you're having to sneak around them, take them. Like, I was going around Dishonored style. I would take a guy out, and then I got 3 quick headshots in a row with the bow that I'd picked up off of one of them. Felt awesome.
There you go.
And then one more guy like trickled out below, and the guy that was watching me play and guiding me through, he's like, "Oh no, there's one more!" And I'd already known he was there, and I aimed down, boom, hit the guy. He was gone. Just a lot of fun running around doing all that kind of stuff. And then the finale of the demo we got to fight a behemoth boss. And if anybody knows me personally, they know I'm a boss fight snob. I like really good boss fights. And if you do it badly, I'm probably not going to like your game that much. Running around in this little arena, it was definitely more old school boss fight style, but it was good. It was a lot of fun dodging back and forth, shooting at him. He would summon in some more zombies. As we were fighting, the big behemoth would pick up a zombie and throw it at you, like,
Yes, you do.
exactly.
As you do when
It was
you're a
fun.
zombie.
And then they gave you this really cinematic finisher where you just pretty much rip its head off. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is what this game needs to be. This brutal, nasty zombie killing game. It's just good fun.
You said that wasn't really the end. Like, once you took out that zombie, then you had something else on top of that.
Not in the slightest. That was just one of the first high level missions where you're trying to find the main bad guy in the game, who's called the Baron, who's done all these experiments on Kyle, and is the reason you have some of this extra abilities. Which, as soon as I killed the behemoth, I watched as Kyle went and hit an injector with him to pull out a sample, and I'm like, oh, okay, you're pulling a sample, and I'm like, what you doing, Kyle? Because he goes and takes the thing and injects himself. So
As you do.
that's gonna be
As you do.
that's gonna be part of unlocking your skill tree. It seems, with your beast rage that you've got and all that kind of stuff, is giving you new abilities. So very, this was definitely a okay. Here's what we got demo. I can only imagine the
Landscape.
over the top things that they have in store as you go through all of this and do these crazy things, especially if killing those kind of zombies, if that's how you upgrade yourself. Like, maybe that means that there's a lot of really amazing boss fights to go and do around to go ahead and do that. I'd love to go chase signature zombies
Yeah.
to go ahead and take them out. So that was definitely one of my games of show.
So what about you? What did you see that wowed you?
Hey, don't worry. I'm gonna keep it short. I'm gonna keep it simple.
I
The
think we're
first
well
one,
past that already.
the first one that I'm going to talk about, there's already a preview, hands-on preview on the site. Is Ambrosia Sky.
Mhm.
Soft Rains, a brand new group. They did a phenomenal job from their CEO, Joel, all the way down to their the two people that led me through it, Adam and Jules. Um, it is a first-person sci-fi adventure clean 'em up. And when you
Clean 'em
say
up.
that, you don't.
That's an interesting mashup
It's
of
an
genres.
interesting mashup of genres. It is taking a like cleaning simulator such as the power wash simulator, and it's really taking that to an adventure game and making it so that you have everything from horror to adventure to platforming to there was a moment where I got to change gravity inside of the building, and so now I went from standing straight to floating, and it changed the entire dynamic. You had creepy crawlies that drove me insane. Literally, there was. I told the guy, I told Adam as we were moving forward, I said, "Hey, you're gonna have to reel me in. I'm somebody that likes to explore. We only have so much time. Please leave me." And I immediately found a secret little hideaway area, and he was like, "Hey, you need to turn around. We only have so much time." And immediately, right after that, I turned left, and Jules was like, "I've never seen someone do that kind of platforming to get around that
Nice.
that amount of fungus." And it's all about this scarab, which is a monastic order of basically disaster relief agents who she gets sent back to her home planet or her home base, and there's a disaster. This fungus has grown all over the place. It was so good. They really did a great job of explaining that their goal is to put as much on the screen as they possibly can. So they have a very stylized way of showcasing their art, which makes it so that they can put a bunch of fungus, a bunch of bad guys, a bunch of fire, a bunch of lightning, and it doesn't lag, it doesn't stutter. You're not sitting there going like, "Oh well, my Xbox is falling or my PC, it's PC only right now. My PC is gonna explode
Catch
from what's
fire.
happening." Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think they did a fantastic job of picking a style, picking a lane, and they just went forward with it. One of the things that, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, Joel said that they wanted to make sure that everybody on the team had a fingerprint on the clay that was this game.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so every single person from the CEO to the tech people to the writers to the sound engineers, they all had something they brought to the table that made it a group effort. And I thought that that was very special. And I can't wait to see the rest of this game. It's going to be on PC. I hope it comes to console so that I can play it. But it's great.
That's really important, though. I think that you run into that. We've been doing this for a long time,
Sure.
and you kind of no shade to Todd Howard. I know the guy personally. No shade, dude. You get some Todd Howard syndrome, right? People think Fallout, they immediately think Todd Howard.
Yeah.
If Skyrim, Todd Howard.
Yeah.
There is a lot of people behind Todd Howard,
Yeah.
right?
A lot of people.
And those people deserve just as much recognition as he does.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we had talked about earlier this week. I think Jeff Keighley did kind of a disservice to people saying like, you've got a game like Clair Obscur that's it's made by 30 people. 30 people plus 3 pages of contractors. This is made by one guy and 9 of his friends. That's one guy, 9 unpaid labor. That's 10 people, not one guy. So I think it's really important that you recognize all of the love that goes into building a game like that, and that everybody gets their opportunity to shine.
And speaking of Jeff, like it's cool to have indie developers to
Yeah.
give the chance for some of these guys like Soft Rains to come in here and talk
100%.
about it. But yeah, I think it's important that everybody is acknowledged for those fingerprints on the clay.
Credit where credit's due.
Like you said, some clay balls are larger than others,
Sure.
obviously,
Sure.
and so you have something like Skyrim, and I talked with
Kojima, take your pick.
Yeah, I talked
the
with
recognizables.
with Joel, and he was talking about that. He was saying that a lot of his people came from AAA.
Go on.
People came from AAA, and some people were coming from indie developers, and so he had people from all over the place, from big AAA companies all the way to the indie developers, and each one was bringing something different to the table. So I thought Soft Rains did a really great job showcasing their art and showcasing that. Moving forward, we're going to snake draft this back and forth just to get enough. I want to go directly into Sonic Racing Cross Worlds.
Okay.
Sega did a fantastic job. Team Sonic always comes in with something impressive to show me for the past 2 years, and this one is unlike anything else. I think a theme for the ones that I've been giving awards to is taking the genre and doing something creative with it.
Yeah.
Something different that changes the genre or moves the genre forward. And, my favorite kart racer of all time is Diddy Kong Racing. I said it in my preview. You can see it on the site as well.
Yep.
The reason that I liked Diddy Kong Racing so much was that you had the exploration aspects. You had, every time you did the race, a second, third, fourth time. It wasn't just playing the race and knowing the fastest route and getting through all those things. It was 100% like, oh, this time you're collecting the 10 coins. This time you have to collect all the bananas.
Yeah.
This time you have to do this. And
well, like Tony Hawk follows that formula, right? Get the special, get the
yeah. And so with this one, not only do you have the red rings that you have to collect, not only in a Grand Prix, you have the red rings that you have to collect.
Yeah.
You have the warp rings that are taking you to different worlds while you're still playing the race. And then on top of that, at the end, when you get through the 3 main races, that 4th race is a conglomeration of all 3 races that you've done previously. So every time you move forward, it's always something different. And the way in which I was playing it, it was always like, instead of just trying to find the fastest route to get there, I always had my head on a swivel of, okay, where is the next red ring? Sure. Okay, where is the next speed boost? Because speed boosts are scattered all over the place, but you have, sometimes you're flying, sometimes you're in a boat, sometimes you're just driving forward, sometimes your car turns into a mech and now you're running over people.
Right.
So there's so many different ways to play, and on top of that, something I love about kart racers is having customization. I want to be able to pick Tails and have his cart be reminiscent of Tails. I want it to be, okay, well, he has synergy with something that's about acceleration first. He has better handling. And then create the car around that to make it so that, okay, well, if I pick Tails, I need to make sure that he has a little bit of toughness, so I give him a bigger car, make it so that people can't just knock him off the map. And I think that they did a really great job of making it so that things are going to feel fresh, things are going to feel difficult. And the biggest thing that I loved was the rival system. You have every time you do a Grand Prix, you have a rival that shows up, and every time that you pass that person or that person passes you, there is an exchange of like dialogue.
Okay.
So for the first one, it was Jet. The second one, it was Amy. The third one, it was Shadow. And each time, Tails would be like, "Oh no, Amy, you got ahead of me!" And then like Amy would get ahead, or I would get ahead of Amy and be like, "Tails, what are you doing?" And so it was like a really great job. Thank you. And so every time something would happen, it would add to the fun of like, oh, this is chaos. Oh, this is insane. Oh, this is so fast paced. And I was playing on the hardest difficulty that we had access to. And I'm usually good at kart racers. I'm pretty good at kart racers, but this one was a challenge. Mm-hmm. And I was never always in first. There are some kart racers, I will not name names. There are some kart racers out there, Mario Kart, where I kind of get first every time.
Sure.
Especially if I'm playing by myself. Sometimes I have some friends that are good at it that put me to my test. But for the most part, when I'm playing by myself, I don't lose it, Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's not.
This one, I was getting second place, third place sometimes. Like it was there was an actual challenge to it, and I think kart racers need to have challenge, and it needs to work, and it needs to have fresh ideas, and this has fresh ideas.
All right, David, I took away your cheat code. I didn't let you look anything else up.
No, you're fine.
No cheat codes.
Oh, you're good. We're posting this later because of embargoes.
No. You just need
you gotta be vague.
You gotta be vague on some of these
things.
It's going to be very hard to be vague on some of this.
I get it. And you can also just skip names. It. You can also just skip it.
Well,
move on to one that you can't.
There's like maybe one more.
Go for it.
Okay.
So FBC Firebreak.
There you go. You really
I'm a Remedy fanboy, so it's pretty easy for me to just automatically be drawn to something they do, but they're doing an actual shooter this time, and I'm the shooter guy
Yeah.
at GT.
Yep.
So playing Firebreak, the coolest thing is it's really
You were saying
every
it's an
time.
anti-shooter.
Well,
What does that mean?
Everybody wants to think, okay, this is like a Left 4 Dead. This is like a Call of Duty. This is like
Kind
a
of
Halo.
the pillars.
They try to
genre
point it in,
pillars.
and obviously there are similarities in shooting and doing all this stuff.
Sure.
But it doesn't feel like I feel like when I'm playing COD, like there's definitely a lot more stress going on. And even though I enjoy the stress of it, like playing this, I didn't feel that stress. I felt more the fun of doing it with someone else.
Good.
You go in, like for instance, Hot Job is one of the first ones you have available. This one
before we jump into that, what is this game about?
So, if you don't know, in the world of Control, the oldest house has been taken over by the Hiss. The oldest house has been closed up because of all of this. And unfortunately, there's a bunch of agents stuck inside.
Oh.
And they're having to handle all the altered items and stuff that's messed up because of the Hiss messing with everything. So you are unfortunately thrust into being a volunteer.
For the cleanup.
Great.
To do all the things. All your gear is just whatever you could find inside the oldest house to MacGyver something together to be able to take on this job. So
I felt like that context was important because the game is weird.
And that's one of the greatest things about it is
Remedy is weird.
it's a Remedy game through and through. Like people need to stop looking at it and again comparing it to every other shooter because it has that Remedy feel that you want in a Remedy game. But like you go out there and like you're having to bring out like fix kits with you to do these different jobs compared to like it's almost like having a second weapon, but like that's kind of how they treat it at least. But like for instance, one of the first things you do in a hot job, you're supposed to fix the fans because the supernatural furnace is overheating.
Oh,
and the Hiss are stronger because of the heat. So one of the three kits that I remember us using, we had one is the fix kit. It has a wrench. One is the splash kit that has a like obviously it shoots water out, and then the last one is the jump kit, which is an electrical surge, but you can it's like a pogo stick with an electrical pad on it, a defibrillator on it.
Okay.
So
sure.
So
as you do.
You run in there and you don't all have to run the same kit, but like one of the first things we noticed was if you go to like the panel to fix one of the fans, the generator, you could run up there and whack it a couple times with the wrench and it fixes it.
Okay.
Because wrenches fix things.
Sure.
That's why it's the fix kit.
It's the fix kit. It does the fixing.
Unfortunately, the splash kit does nothing.
Have you tried turning it off and on?
Have you tried pouring water on it?
The splash kit, you have to run up there and just start doing a little mini game to quickly rewire everything.
Like the button press thing?
Yes, it's like a button press thing. And then if you have the electric kit, just zap it a couple times. It turns it back on. So it's fun that each one of these things has a point as to where it is, because on that same token, you jump over to the sticky note level, and the splash kit is very important because it soaks the sticky notes and makes them easier to destroy, which is what you're trying to do.
There's a new sentence in the world.
Yeah, there's a point to all of these kits, and that's what makes all of this so fun. So you're running around with your friends, you're trying to do this all the while. The Hiss are just spawning in and trying to kill you the whole time. The splash kit is very useful because you can keep hitting them with it, and since obviously heat makes them stronger, the water makes them. It makes it easier to kill them. You can shock them to stop them. I remember one point the poor Hiss could not move because
we should feel sorry for them.
We shouldn't, but at the same point, but like hit them, I would just hit them with a water blast. They would get stunned, and then the other guy would zap them real fast. And they were just stuck in this cycle of being stunned back and zapped and stunned back and zapped. You run through it, you have fun with it. The other cool part of it is if you Remedy wants you to be able to jump in and out of this game.
Sure.
They don't want this to be something where you have FOMO of a battle pass, where you feel like you got to grind your dailies or
Thank
anything.
goodness.
This is
Thank you. Yeah.
this is a
Thank
jump
you,
in.
Remedy.
This is a drop in drop out game, so you can just join somebody's buddy's session.
Nice.
But it's also, you've got difficulty sliders as well as clearance levels that are associated. So if you don't want it to be very hard, you can put it all the way down. You could pop the clearance level all the way. Your clearance level actually opens up how long the job takes.
Oh, nice.
Because what happens
a short
is there,
period of time.
so there, so that what it is there's actually different sections to the mission.
Nice.
And so you could do it really quick and just go ahead, fix the first level of fans, get out of there.
Yes.
Because you essentially finish it by you fix the fans, you kill, like they usually drop in a high level hiss in. It's really funny because it's like it'll have some random name like Brian Burnett, and we were in our thing like, oh no, Brian from accounting is coming to kill us. Because that's essentially you're killing your coworkers who've been infected by the hiss. But then you're running pell-mell to the elevator to get out. And funny enough, this is actually built into your escape. Remedy decided, what if an elevator functioned exactly like it does in real life? Because if you keep hitting the button, it will open and close the doors as you're trying to get out. And eventually it might break and you have to fix the elevator button just to get out.
Well, thankfully you have a fix-it kit.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because they said they had people in the testing like, is this a bug? And they were like, nope, we built it this way.
Being Remedy.
We made it this way. So it's just funny, but you can get in, get out, do all this stuff really quickly. If you just want to play with your friends for 15 minutes, you're having fun with your friends. So I really appreciate that Remedy is chill with like making sure you get the time in this game that you want. If you want to grind out and get done with unlocking all the extras that they have, it's there. They do plan for future content, but they're not going to go crazy with anything like all these other live servers do, because that's not what this game is supposed to be. They just want you to be able to have fun, enjoy a good round with your buddies. Maybe you'll unlock everything, and eventually by the time the next amount of content comes in, you'll be ready to jump in again and do some jobs with your friends. It's the biggest thing is every time I was playing it, it can be intense, but the amount of fun that you have with your buddies, that's what really sells this game.
Good. Ron, give us another one.
Let's talk about Deadpool VR.
Okay.
So, Deadpool VR, there'll be video of this on the site. It's going to look dumb of me just waving my arms around, swinging my arms like a fool.
We'll just put Instinct's bye.
Oh my goodness, right? But that's VR for you, right? It really underscores one of my favorite things about VR. It requires no instructions. You walk in, it basically says, do this to check your arm length.
Nice.
To make sure that you're not going to hit anything. Go nuts. After that, you're just turned loose.
Good.
And it's Deadpool being Deadpool. So, it's the nonstop Merc with the mouth stuff. He's aware he's in a video game. He's talking to this kind of handler who I think sounds like Cal Penn. Okay. I could not get a straight answer on that, but it kind of sounds like Cal Penn. But you're on the Shield helicarrier and it's crashing, and it's just smart ass answer after smart ass answer, and your job is to just blow people away with guns. But the way it starts is great. You start off with the inability to move, except for your head, because your head is sitting on this table and your body's over on that table.
Oh no! So you have to go and get your head and put
so
it on.
your body has to get up and shamble over, and then he's like dancing and stuff his way over, and then just smacks the guy, the scientist that's there, and then just blasts him in the nuts, picks his head up, puts it on, and then you're off to the races.
What an iconic entrance!
Right. Neil Patrick Harris does a fantastic job of being Ryan Reynolds. And there's a great Ryan Reynolds overreaction video to him having stolen this job from him. That's just really funny. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go see that. But from there, I mean, I don't have to describe the mechanics because everything is just incredibly intuitive. If you expect to be able to reach down here and pull out the guns, great. If you're like, I don't know how to reload, throw the gun at somebody, reach down, pull out another one. Why? Because it's Deadpool.
Because it's Deadpool.
Right. You want to impale somebody? Pull out the sword, throw it at him. Impale him, pull out another sword. Why? Don't think about it too much. Yeah, don't think about it too much. It's comic books. So you start off pretty simple with just pistols, just dual pistols.
Sure.
I won't spoil what he names them, and
Okay.
then paired swords, and you can slash people up or impale them or whatever. But it's another one that starts off simple, but you can start to build some really crazy combos.
Cool.
So you can slide underneath people's legs, and if you do that and pull out the swords and do like this, you'll just cut them in half.
Nice.
So they really went out of their way to come up with very Deadpool craziness. Like if you jump over somebody and stab them on the way through, that works. You want to run along the walls, he's going to make a smart ass comment about being Prince of Persia, and then you can, attack people. Um, and if there is no real penalty for death because you can't die. So, I pulled out a grenade off my hand or off my wrist and threw it into an air vent, and it blows up, and you're supposed to use that to get into the next area. And I jumped in too early, and it was still electrified. And then it pops to a separate screen that basically is like a security screen watching you die. He goes, "What a shit player you are!"
Oh,
And then you
nice.
respawn, right?
Nice.
And so it has that kind of signature crass humor. But as you play, you get access to different weapons. You get like these dual Uzis, you get a sniper rifle or a shotgun, and the bad guys are like, "I'm gonna totally take you down" or whatever, and Deadpool's like, "Yeah, I don't think that's gonna
We'll
work out
see
well
about
for you."
that.
Yeah. So it just they nailed the signature humor, and it seems to have the right. Obviously, we don't have access to the full game yet,
Sure.
but it seems to nail the balance of being Merc with the mouth without being Merc who repeats himself and is annoying,
Sure.
right? Because that's a
It's
really
a really
fine
fine
line, right?
We've had
Where
a Deadpool game that had some of that
yeah, we're
problem.
just slightly too far.
Yeah.
It's so easy to tip over that line.
Yep.
When I was talking with the team, they were saying when they were talking to Marvel, they're like, "Are we doing it too much? Is it too much?" They're like, "No, keep going. Is it too crass?
They
Keep
literally
going."
made
Yeah.
Deadpool Wolverine. You can't get any more crass than that.
Right. So they're just like, just keep going. However far you want to go is fine. So they're totally cool with what they're doing. From a technical perspective, zero nausea. No matter what I did, I was running around
It's
full natural motion, not doing like teleportation. Although all that stuff's in there. I suffer from nausea all the time in VR. So getting my VR legs is taking a long time. I use a lot of stuff like ginger chews and like an electrical pulse thing on my wrist to try and abate all that. I didn't have any of that stuff with me here. Did not matter.
Good.
Frame rate was rock solid the entire time. It was on a Quest 3, and it's Quest 3 and Quest 3S, and no problems with frame rate dips. No problems. Didn't matter if I was like. There were times where I was running this way and shooting this way. That kind of motion this way, but head facing this way is usually what makes you sick.
Yeah.
No problems at all. Sliding down and kicking people, sliding underneath their feet or sliding and then kicking their head. They're jumping up and then kicking down at them.
Yeah.
All that kind of motion that you're not doing what the character is normally what throws you off.
Yeah.
But the way that they did it is they don't move the camera if you don't move the camera.
Nice.
And that's another caveat that a lot of people fall in when they're making VR games is they will move the camera, but your head didn't move.
Yeah.
Doing it the other way is fine. You want to move your head around, knock yourself out. But when they move the camera and your head is still facing this way, you get sick.
Yeah.
So they figured that out, and they've made it a real focus to make sure that there is no nausea problems in this game. And I'm happy to report, game's not out. Game's still months away,
Sure.
and still rock solid. So yeah, it was another one that I was blown away. I had high expectations because it's just the IP.
Yeah.
But knowing that it's VR, it's like, well, I mean, how good could this possibly be? And it just cleared my expectations completely. So that's another one to be really excited about if you're in the VR space.
So we're gonna skip you for a second. Come back to me. I'm gonna do my last two, then we'll go back around one more time.
I'm embargoed.
Okay. So we'll hit my two, and then we'll hit your last one.
Okay.
I can't talk about infinitesimals all that much. We are under embargo as of right now. It looks amazing. I took the first 20 seconds to see what abilities I had. And y'all, like, if you've played any of the games that I have throughout my life where jetpacks are a thing, you're going to love the movement. You are on a planet that you will find familiar. You have a lot of different items, a lot of different humorous aspects to it. So it's fun, it's vibrant. The staff that they told me that they had with 8 people. From what I understand, it is 8 people. And when I talked to him, and when I complimented the grass effects, and I was like, "Wow, 8 people, and you did this this level of detail in the grass." He's like, "Oh well, once you get the asset, you just do that." And he was trying to get very self, not
Like
self-deprecating, but
granular.
he was trying to say oh, it's not that big of a deal. That shouldn't be what you're complimenting us on, basically. And I was just like, no, no, no. Please just take the compliment. It is impressive that all of this is there. The terrain is all there, but movement is fluid for being a game that is still coming out, still being worked on a daily basis. It plays so well, and the gunplay is fun, the items are fun, the movement is fun. I really love single player adventures such as this. I think this is going to be a hit. I think people are really going to like it, and if they don't, I think they're foolish. It's as simple as that. I can't tell you anymore. I don't want to get in trouble or anything like
Sure.
that. But it's truly a fabulous, fabulous time. The next one that I gave an award to was Mixtape. And I'm gonna be so real. I was so excited about this last year when they first showed it off. You guys know it. I literally said it to David right when it was announced the first time.
Look, I even looked at you and
Yeah,
said,
everybody kind of looked at me and said,
before
"Oh, this is an Adam game." And the first thing that you do when the first song that comes on is Devo.
Nice.
And I just went, "Yep, this is it." So if you grew up in the 90s, 2000s era of time period, you're going to have so much stuff that you're going to find fun. I'll have a picture when I do get the write up done of their setup, where I think you
Oh, I
guys
saw
both
this.
saw
That
it.
it was super cool.
It had all of this nostalgia. It had literal VHS tapes that I owned in there of Winnie the Pooh, Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
Men in Black, all these movies and shows that you would recognize. It is there's a lot to this game. There are skateboarding elements. I played you see it in the trailer, but the shopping cart is
Mhm.
so fun. That whole thing is so much fun. This is a slice of life. This is a very specific, pinpointed aspect. And the cool thing that I got to talk to the developers about was the stepping animation that they decided to go with. So that allowed them to make this look really interesting. Everything looks really cool, but he was telling me about how there's a moment where she puts her hand on a railing,
Mhm.
and so they had to, when the stepping was there, it looked like the arm was going
Oh
like
yeah,
this. And
physics
so they
fun.
had to fully this part of her body is
Yeah.
running completely straight. It doesn't have the stepping animation. Everything else has the stepping animation. So if you've seen Into the Spider-Verse, you know what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
that style
Yeah.
of animation. It's so much fun. It's so creative. The whole aspect of using mixtapes as the soundtrack to your life. Literally, my AirPods are called Rex's soundtrack to life
Nice.
because I always have them in. I always have them playing some sort of music at all times, whether that be John Williams or the Beatles or Prince. There's always something playing in my head. And so I think that this, not only did it hit every button for me when it came to me as a gamer, it worked so well. There was never a point that I never ran into any bugs, any crashes, anything. This was a perfect demo, in my opinion, and I cannot wait for the full release.
So I can't talk about the last game that I played because it is embargoed, and anything I say is going to give it away. So I'm going to talk about Exoborn.
Okay.
Exoborn was another game that I got to play that I was really impressed with. I know that's much closer to release. Um, so they sat us down and they basically said, we want you to pick either the Kodiak, which is kind of this heavy exosuit, or we want you to pick the wolf one. And I'm like, we can pick anyone we want. Yep, I'm gonna pick the Kestrel. So the Kestrel is kind of a more flight-based one, and I just jumped right into it. And like you with the jetpack, I like those kind of aerial classes, and I immediately turned into this aerial scout where I'm like flying up above and I'm calling down
Yep.
where enemies are. and my team is like
I'm
honing
sorry to
in and
interrupt.
triangulating.
Is this a multiplayer game or is
Yeah,
this a
so
single
it's,
player
it's
game?
three it's
It's
three
actually an
people.
extraction
Yeah,
shooter.
so it's three
Okay,
people in a
okay,
team.
okay.
And the way it works is you kind of go in and you're having to accomplish objectives. There's a really big map, and you have multiple objectives everywhere. And you kind of pick an objective. You can probably push further than this, but
Sure.
you pick an objective and you go try and accomplish it. You can push further, but anything that you've collected, you've got. And you have a period of time where you are not called out to everyone as having picked this thing up.
Okay.
But there's a timer. It's like you've got 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, everyone will know where you are. So if you can hold on to your loot and accomplish other objectives, great. But I'll tell you this, it was live. So when we got through our objective, we still had about 5 or 6 minutes left, and we decided we were going to extract. So we head to the extraction zone, and we're ambushed by a team almost immediately. We wipe them out, which is great. We make our way to the extraction team, and there's one there waiting for us in ambush as well.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
oh man, all right.
Yep.
So we managed to take them out too. I'll take that, 6 players down.
Yeah.
And the guy that was with us is like, Did you call for an extraction? I said, no. Didn't you? I figured we'd clear them out first. He goes, no, this is their airship. I said, well, but if we take it, it becomes our airship. So we had a really great time. It was a really fun extraction shooter. And then I almost killed myself. I decided I'd be cool. Everybody else walked in there like, normal people and got onto the airship. As it was taking off, I grappled up to it and put my exosuit into the blades.
Oh.
Thankfully, I had enough health to survive that.
Okay.
It was like, and then I kind of hit inside there, and the dev behind me is like, oh, that could have gone very badly, very, very badly. Because well, you're the first one to try that move. So that was a fun way to end the day. But
it seems like
I think
each of
that's
us
gonna be a good one.
had something that not only fit our personal enjoyment of games.
Yeah.
The first person or first single player games for me, first person shooters for you, and then you had everything
RPGs
from
and
RPGs to extraction shooters. Summer Game Fest had so much already that we've seen.
Yeah.
And we highlighted some of our favorites here, but clearly you guys are going to have to go to GamingTrend.com, see all of our write-ups on all the individual things. Honorable mention for me would be Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy.
That looked really good.
It was so much fun.
The art is so good on that.
As somebody that does not play a lot of Magic the Gathering, like I collect it, I do not play it very often. When I do, I usually get my butt kicked because everybody I play with are actual like competitive players.
Yeah.
I played against the lead designer and I almost won. And it came down to I had Cloud Strife, I was ready to do it, and all of a sudden it was dun 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 Sephiroth, and he came down, killed Cloud, and I was done for.
You're vulnerable at that point.
But I do want to thank the people over at Magic the Gathering, Final Fantasy. They did a really great job, not only with the actual presentation, but they had such a fun atmosphere. Having the chocobo outside, having Secret Lair available for us to go and see, I really did appreciate that. Does anybody have one honorable mention before we end here?
That I can mention? No.
Okay. So you guys are gonna have to check it out.
Extra careful.
Keep an eye on our site on GamingTrend.com because there's a lot of really cool coverage coming.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it. It's a little bit longer of a interview that we normally do, especially just sitting down and talking games. But I thought this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hope you did too. I'm Ron Burke, editor-in-chief for GamingTrend.com. David Burdett, Adam Moreno.
There you go.
Running joke, folks. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you again real soon.